This is the Political Spotlight.
The Political Spotlight is a joke. It's more like a political flop.
Nobody listens to Bilbrey.
He's just a wannabe podcaster. No one takes him seriously.
He is a rude, crude dude that will never go any further than broadcasting from his mother's basement.
Bilbrey is a wrecking ball for Indiana politicians.
Grab another box of Twinkies and generic cola, Bilbrey.
And get back to your microphone and your audience of nobodies.
The Political Spotlight is a joke.
It's more like a rude, crude dude that will never go
Bilbrey's a wrecking ball for Indiana politicians. Shut that stupid Bilbrey up.
Well, hello. Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome. We will wait for a few people to join. I'll start off by telling you guys something horrible that's happened. I'll get to that in 1 second. My grandparents, for the last several years, really have been fans of those blow pop suckers. You know, not the blow pop, the Tootsie Pop, I guess. The blow pop is the kind I like, the kind that you have gum in it. But they like the Tootsie Pop that have the Tootsie Roll in it. And I love them and I hate them. I like them, but I hate the fact that depending on how you eat it, they can become very sharp, and it makes like several little sharp, like paper-like cuts on your tongue. And I have tried to avoid these. But very much like a heroin junkie, I finally broke down and started eating a couple, and I had been all right. But I think last night, in eating the one I had, I did it. I cut my tongue up, and I am in like lots and lots and lots of pain. You can't hardly drink anything. You can't eat anything. I've got all these like little paper cuts on my tongue, which is like the worst thing in the world to have. Oh, no. Now I'm remembering why I didn't like these damn things. And it's been bad. It must be a Bilbrey thing, because my grandfather was eating one and it like broke his tooth out. Broke his middle tooth. Well, broke a cap off, but he had to go in and deal with that whole thing. It was like had to get a root canal. It was a big ordeal. So, ladies and gentlemen, we are back. This is episode 701, episode 701. Starting, yeah, that's exactly right, Charlize. Starting from the bottom of the barrel, right at 001. That's what my mother said. We got a couple, and I told my mother, I said, you need to try to, you've got nothing better to do. You need to try and get to the bottom of how many licks it takes. And you just take a piece of paper and a pen and figure that out and let me know. So I will let you know what she says. I think she's just over in the corner just doing it. Doing it well. I somehow pulled a muscle in my shoulder in my sleep last night and have been in pain all day from, yeah, that's horrible. Well, the stainer. Yes. That would be great. Well, let it slowly dissolve, Goof. Don't chew it. I know. See, my thing is I don't chew it. That's my grandpa's problem. He's chewing it. I don't let it slowly dissolve. I take it and I spin it around in a circle around my tongue. And that's what you get it really sharp, and it cuts the pieces of your tongue off. I mean, it's like
that really hard lip all the way around.
Yeah.
Why would you do that? That's why you get the ones with the gum in the middle. They don't have that ridge.
I know. That's the reason.
Your tongue gets fucked up.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I'm in really bad pain because of it. Like it's my teeth is hitting it. We might have to cancel the show. I don't know that I can talk. We've got a lot of important stuff, but I don't know.
You will always be able to talk. They will cut out your tongue and you'll still be talking.
I will figure it out.
Around it.
Yeah.
Don't do that again, though. Come on.
So stupid. So stupid. One of those things that I figured I would have learned.
No, you don't. There's just some things that are compulsive. And
that's exactly right.
Cannot be overcome.
That is exactly right. That's absolutely right, Kate. Well, right, Charlize. Isn't this is truly a place where you hear and learn all things. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I love puns. Kate doesn't like them, but I love them, so that was great. Ladies and gentlemen, we've got a lot to talk about. And I was in a really good mood. I had a lot of information that I wanted to convey to you guys politically going on about the city of Muncie, some late breaking things going on. And then somebody sent me something that pushed me right over the edge. Now, we still have a lot to talk about, but now I'm in a bad mood because I don't know that I'm like, I want to cover this and I want to cover this and I want to cover this and I want to cover this. So, obviously, by now, we've all heard, the mayor is coming back. Yay! So tomorrow's the big day. We're going to get into that. We're going to talk about why he's coming back tomorrow. Was this always planned? Is this coming back early? Is it coming back late? Is it coming back right on time? We don't know. Muncie Mayor Dan Ridenour is returning to City Hall tomorrow. Tomorrow being Wednesday, July 15th, 2026, after a 43-day medical absence. And right at the beginning of the show, I'm going to say this. I'm not going to be nice to him tonight. I like Jordan in 95. He's back. That's right. And because I'll say it before Kate gets there, Wayne Scaife for everything. Heyo. Listen, right up here at the beginning of the show, I want to say I beat you. Womp womp. I'm glad that he's doing well. I'm glad he looks healthy. He looks happy. I'm glad that his medical procedure went as planned. I'm glad that he is, he didn't say cancer free, but I would hope that that's the plan. I would hope that's the deal. But I hope that he is in whatever place that he and his doctors want him to be. And I'm happy for him. And no matter, just as I hate even having to say this, but just as the caveat, as a disclaimer, whatever I say tonight about him or ever moving forward into the life has nothing to do about cancer, has nothing to do about illness. I don't wish him ill. I don't want him to be the mayor of Muncie, and we're going to talk about that a little bit later. But I'm happy he's healthy. I'm happy everything's good, and I'm glad he's back. That being said, I wonder, was his return always planned for now, or is he coming back early because of, I'll be honest, from the outside looking in, it seems like things are really unraveling at City Hall. Now, they are going to claim that everything's going smooth and everything's going as planned. I wonder if we are rebooting Parks and Rec and they're actually doing it from Muncie this time with real people, because they all seem like they are falling apart. So I just wonder about this return. We're going to look at the court filings. We'll go through that pretty quickly. The court filings that are ending the temporary absence and the court filings that are terminating George-Jeffrey Howe's role as acting mayor tomorrow. We're also going to be examining what Howe's title or titles will be and his responsibilities will be moving forward. I'm going to talk a little bit about whether or not I think that Ridenour's return is in an attempt to halt the investigation that the city council wants to conduct into the procedural irregularities surrounding Howe's contracts and the nearly $66,000 in payments made to Howe under these questionable circumstances. And that's what the show was going to be about. That's what the show was going to be about. But then, just a little bit before we went live, I found out, man, and this just makes me irate. A little bit before, timing issues. A little bit before we went live, I found out that acting mayor Jeff Howe had the audacity to use the mayoral power of veto and he vetoed Ordinance 1326. Floors me. I'm shocked. Now, for those of you that might be saying 1326, what's 1326? 1326, Ordinance 1326, ladies and gentlemen, is the ordinance that establishes the McKinley Neighborhood Overlay District. If you remember, it was discussed at the most recent city council meeting. It was the thing that everybody came up speaking in favor of. Nobody was there saying, no, we don't want this. Ridenour wasn't there. Jeff Howe wasn't there. He couldn't be bothered to show up. And they knew it was coming. They knew it was there. And the council voted 3 times unanimously on this. Brandon Garrett was absent. So there was only 8 councilors, and all 8 of them voted unanimously to introduce it. All 8 of them voted then unanimously to suspend the rules. And then all 8 of them voted once again to pass it. And everyone was happy. Well, we're going to talk about why he vetoed it in a moment. And I hope the affected property owners are mad. I'm not sure how many of them know. He vetoed it back on the 9th, and I'm just now finding out about this. Okay? I don't know if they found out about this, if they knew about this. But we're going to explain why I think the veto is nothing more than political gameplay. And that's going to be a funny word here in a little bit. You'll see why. And I'm going to tell the property owners, the neighborhood residents, other stakeholders, and everybody else in the city of Muncie, along with the city councilors, what we can do to fix this. We have an ability to fix this, and we're going to get into that. So we're going to be talking about all of this tonight. And I just want to tell you guys, if you know anybody from that neighborhood, from McKinley Neighborhood, right now is a time to share this episode with them and get them here. We had that gamer chick that was here and a couple of other people. I'd like them to be here to see this. So we're going to get into all of that. But if you would, smash that like button, do all the YouTube stuff, get that stuff out of the way. Like, share, subscribe, do all of that stuff. But strongly, I recommend you guys to share this with your Muncie people, because this is a show that people are going to need to hear about, specifically when we get into the veto of Ordinance 1326. Well, let's do it. Okay, Ridenour's return, ladies and gentlemen. First up, I'm going to let you hear from the mayor himself what he said to everybody's favorite radio buddy, Steve Lindell, on WMUN in the morning, this morning, today, live, recorded, playing via replay right now in studio here. 92 in the big
the
city.
man, the myth, the legend. He is back in the proverbial saddle again. Dan Ridenour, the mayor of Muncie, as recovery continues. And I am very pleased to see your smiling face in our Zoom room, sir. Tell us where you stand right now. You're obviously not 100% cleared to go back to the office. I assume you would be there if they would let you.
Yeah, that is true. In fact, I will be in the office for the first time tomorrow on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. And then as long as everything goes well, I'll be full-time next week.
Oh, fantastic. How are you and how is your health? How is the progression after that very important surgery, sir?
Well, everything that went is about as perfect as it could be. I'm truly blessed. You know, the prostate was removed, so that part of the cancer is gone. They did biopsies on lymph nodes and bladder, and all of that came back clear. So there's no cancer, and all I had to do was follow the rules. My wife's a nurse, so she made sure I did, and so I've done what I was supposed to do, and I'm looking forward to getting back to work.
How hard was it to sit still for as long as you had to sit still? You don't like to sit and be idle. I know that about you.
No, it has been really challenging, especially the last couple of weeks. The first couple of weeks, I really didn't leave the bed much, and really didn't go downstairs at all. But once the certain things were removed, and I started walking short distances, and have walked every day since. So that it's good to be outdoors. Let's just put it that way.
And Muncie Mayor Dan Ridenour in the Zoom room by doctor's orders on WMUN's Delaware County Today. So you said your work status is back to the building as soon as tomorrow. I know you're thankful for all the help that you had in the interim, including but not limited to Jeff Howe, the deputy mayor interim volunteer guy.
Dude,
when does the torch pass back?
Lindell is such an ass kisser. Like, I can't deal with it. All of these people, like, why is this guy not the mayor of something? His wife couldn't pull it, couldn't hack it. She was a nut. But like, this guy's such an ass kisser. He should be something other than the radio buddy. It's just, it's so gross. Don't people ever get tired? Like, listen, I'm nice. I can be nice. I just can't stand fake. I can't stand the toxic. To me, it's toxic positivity. It's so gross.
Back, and does he retain any responsibilities for any length of time after today or whatever?
Good question.
Well, he is still in charge. So essentially, I had to go sign a document that had to be recorded or sent to a judge to say that I was coming back on Wednesday. So I will be the mayor as of Wednesday. And, it has been a real challenge. I have not once looked at a mayor email.
Wow.
That was part of the requirements, or the proposed requirements from the physician, and I haven't done it. So if anybody has sent me something, I haven't handled it. There were instructions that if it had to do with police, send it to the chief. If it had to do with fire, send it to that person. If it was streets, somewhere else. If it was sanitary district, to someone else. If it was economic development, Jeff, and so forth. So I have not looked at one email. So apologize if you're feeling I didn't get back with you, but I will, and I'm not going to go back. I'm going to start Wednesday. This has been a good experience for me. I'm going to start Wednesday, and I'll just move forward. The team, I think, from what I'm told,
I gotta be honest. I don't think that's a good thing. I think you're gonna have to go backwards and put out some fires. But what do I know? Yes, I do. Yeah, right. I do think they found a little bit of humor. He does seem, hey, good for him.
I have had phone conversations with a couple of them in the last week. I really didn't do any of that the first 4 or 5 weeks. But I've had some phone conversations, so I know roughly what's going on, but I have not been making any decisions. I did encourage Jeff to move some things forward, and he's done that. And but I'm not. He's been running the show, and I'm very appreciative of Jeff Howe and the whole team. Everybody, I think.
What happens if Jeff says to you tomorrow, "Nope, I don't want to give the keys back. Forget it. This is way more fun than I thought it was going to be," or will that not possibly happen?
I don't think that'll be the case. He was retired and was only works. And part of it was a financial part is because of his great experience with financial matters and economic development. He's only a part-time a contractor, so he doesn't even work full-time. Now he has been working full-time, and he's ready to give that full-time part up. He is retired.
You said you communicated with him a little bit in the last few days, or people at the mayor's office, however you put that. He appeared to put out a social media policy. Were you aware of what was going on there, and maybe what transpired to make that necessary the other day?
Well, nothing recent. This is something we've been working on for a year, and
nothing recent. Amber Green has literally been having a wild crash out. Total just spiral into the toilet bowl. And it's like, yeah, nothing recent. No, nothing been going on. What do you mean? What do you mean?
We really just got it back from legal.
I am going to come to the mayor's defense in this, and he is right. They've been working on this for 2 years, over 2 years. And this is what I was trying to tell Nora and trying to tell Roe and trying to tell everybody that was like, yay, thank you, Jeff Howe. This was wonderful. Jeff Howe didn't have a damn thing to do about this. Yes, he might have sent emails to Nora, and he might have sent it to Nora, but listen to what Dan says here. This is really big.
Right about the time that I went in for surgery, and I said, hey,
listen.
The other day.
Well, nothing recent. This is something we've been working on for a year, and we really just got it back from legal right about the time that I went in for surgery. And I said, hey,
they got this back right around the time Ridenour went in for surgery. That was June 2nd. They got it June 2nd.
Well, they didn't want to enact it too soon, but when you asked me standing up at the podium at a city council meeting saying we're not letting you take shit away from us anymore, that might have been a bit of an impetus to get it pushed forward.
Yeah, right. Yeah. All right. Hey, I love it. I hope AFSCME gets up and tells them about the shit they're not going to take every week, every month, every meeting. I love it.
I trust your guidance.
Ding,
we had already made
ding,
some
ding,
edits.
ding.
HR had made some edits. Communications had made some adjustments. Legal had made some adjustments. So it was ready to go. But it's been something that's been going on for months and months and months. So nothing transpired to make it happen. We just needed legal's approval before we could make it official.
Muncie Mayor Dan Ridenour is on WMUN, Delaware County today. His first official appearance in the media since he's been allowed to do such things. I saw a picture of you attending the Ironman 70.3 Muncie over the weekend. You look like you were so happy to be there, but I bet you were a little bummed that you couldn't participate in it, huh?
Oh, I was. We had a relay team, and I had to bow out. And then our cyclist had a knee issue. And then we had a second cyclist who then had an issue. And we finally found they got a team. I really missed participating, but there was zero chance. I'm not running, and that's down the road to get that all back.
And what do you say to all the people after the race that seemed to come together to help all those athletes get all those cars out of all that mud, coming together on that after the monsoon?
Yeah, it was a joint group effort, and I greatly appreciate everybody who pitched in and helped with that.
Road fix-ups, everybody loves those. They might not like the cones or the bumps in the interim, but I'm seeing some things this week. There are some main thoroughfares in City of Muncie that are being, progress is being made. I don't know how dialed in you could be to all of that, though, with your situation and doctor's orders notwithstanding.
Yeah, I knew the list and what they were working on doing. I did get an update, not from Adam, but from someone else who told me that what was going on with Phillotson and that they were it was now ready to move forward. And so the final steps of the prep work is ready. And I think it's going to start down on Kilgore and work its way north.
Muncie Mayor Dan Ridenour getting back in the saddle again, and on WMUN. He's in our Zoom room this morning. One item that came up among several, I think, at the last City Council meeting. They're talking about who can serve on boards and commissions and appointments thereof. What's your take on that situation?
Well, and I can't speak for other mayors, but I will tell you 4 of my 12 appointments were Democrat because
he is so crazy. He's talking about 4 of them way back, all the way back in 2020. Some of them had to be, first off, good point, Kate. But second of all, he's specifically talking about like Linda on the Board of Works. Well, she's gone now. Okay. And you replaced her with Allen. And he was a Republican lackey. And I'm sure whoever Allen's replacement tomorrow, I'm going to go to the Board of Works. Maybe we'll see who replaced Allen. You never know. It'll be interesting. Maybe he'll replace Allen. Maybe he won't. We'll see what happens. But because he did something one time ago, a long time ago, doesn't mean we don't have bad people in there now. First and foremost, I want to say that. And right. It has nothing to do with Democrat or Republican. That's a great point, Wayne. It has to do with when you put somebody in, specifically, like you could put all the Democrats or you could put all the Republicans in you want that are not city employees. When you put someone in whose paycheck is directly tied to if you're happy with them or not, that puts an issue in place. And it brings up conflicts of interest questions and the appearance of impropriety. I've never seen, most people want to remove even the appearance of impropriety. Government's like, we want as much appearance of impropriety as possible.
They were the best for the job, and all 4 of those serve on various boards. And so I have a feeling.
Liar. They do not. Some of them are no longer in those positions. Like, that's crazy.
Is to try and it feels political. It feels like they're just.
I like this. Now keep that in mind. It feels political. I'm going to say that later on tonight. I'm glad Dan gets a shot to say something feels political. I'm going to tell you it's not political. I'm going to tell you it's long overdue. The people that put this forward didn't like what was going on with Gretchen Cheeseman. And it reared its ugly head with Gretchen Cheeseman on the Human Rights Commission. But this has been a serious issue for a long time.
Well, we've been talking about it.
Mm-hmm.
Shireen being on redevelopment. Are you freaking kidding me?
Yeah.
This, if it's not conflict of interest, and with her, I think it's conflict of interest too, but it's also undue influence.
Yeah.
The hubris.
Yeah.
Involved in not forward thinking that someday the Republicans are not going to be in charge and the Democrats are going to be able to do exactly what I'm doing and putting on people on boards who are just going to rubber stamp because of undue process.
Yep. Well,
get out of your own head.
I know. It's something that they cannot do.
Protect the citizens of this city.
Yep. No, they refuse to do that. They refuse to do that. And like Wayne says, none of those Democrats were department heads, so that doesn't matter. It's irrelevant. That's really a non-issue. The thing is, and Ashley Wright is a Democrat, and I'm not the biggest fan of the Wrights, but Ashley Wright can be on the Parks Board. She can sit there. That's not a problem. No one's saying remove Democrats or remove Republicans. They're saying remove the employees, specifically the department heads, but remove employees who you have that connection to that might do things because they're trying to keep the boss happy.
Trying to slow things down, but it's going to take those people off the boards just like others.
He said he thinks they're trying to slow things down. Yes, Dan. Yes. I remember when this man ran a campaign, I was on his campaign team yelling it, shouting it out from the rooftops. Elect Dan. Dan is going to improve communication. He's going to improve transparency. He's going to improve accountability. He's going to slow government down. I can just think about all of these lies that we told. He's going to improve accountability. He's going to improve the relationship between the city and the county. He's going to put the best people in place. And then he didn't do any of that shit. But he literally said that he wanted to slow government down. And not only does he not slow it down, government spins faster and faster and faster under the Ridenour administration than any time I can ever think of before. So that's funny that his gripe is that they want to slow things down. That's okay.
Quite sure. I've looked at it online, but I want to have some discussions with some council members and try and get a feel for, what is this about? I mean, are council members going to be no longer allowed to serve on boards? I mean, council members are appointed to a number of boards as well. And
yeah, because that's part of being on the council. Like, yeah, they're still going to be appointed to their committees. Okay. And the only place that council members are on boards are when it is legally prescribed by state law. I don't think that there are any council people that they've just placed them. They're only on boards when it's prescribed by law. And places and boards and commissions that it's prescribed that Dan has to be on, or the city engineer or whatever, then those people will be on those boards. But if it's not prescribed by state law, then citizens should be on, plain as day. Okay.
What's good for the goose is good for the gander. I'm not quite sure I understand it. But I do think some good people will be taken off. And it is not easy to find people who will volunteer.
Absolutely.
A lot of times,
Wayne,
when I was first elected, a lot of people wanted to serve, but very few of them wanted a second term. It's not paid. It takes a lot of time. There's a lot of responsibility. And some of the meetings are even during the day, which is a real challenge because people are working full time. So I want to analyze it and look at it and have some communication before the August council meeting.
Last item, and I don't have doctor's orders, but I have Dr. Nancy who would advocate for rest is best. Someone is banging on the door. I'll be right there, everyone. They're so busy in Studio B. The serious question I wanted to ask you, Mr. Mayor, is after having gone through what you've gone through here, what's the biggest takeaway from your time away because of your medical condition?
I was more focused on just doing what I was supposed to do. So I don't know. My big takeaway, I don't know that I have a big takeaway from it other than, if you do what the doctor recommends, often you can come back a little early. So it was 6 to 8 weeks. We're going to come back a little early.
Listen to the wife too. In addition to the doctor, you're doing that, you said as well.
Yes, absolutely.
All right.
She's in charge.
Muncie Mayor Dan Ridenour, always a pleasure. Good to see your smile.
So that's what we get from Mayor Dan and WMUN. So that's interesting there. He's going to call Dale, Jeff, Jerry, Roe, and Brandon. And that's really, really a true actual fact. Now, this is where I say, well, we'll get into that. We'll get into that in a moment. So that's very, very important. We are going to talk about who I think he's going to call and what I think that we need to do. So from there, basically, I just want to go through just briefly because I think it is important so people can kind of understand like the legality here. We did go through this. We went through all of this back. We've done this twice. We went through it on May 29th when Ridenour first left. And then we went through it again on June 11th when the attorney for the Muncie Redevelopment Commission, Ben Freeman, went to the court on behalf of the council president and did his little thing. So we talked about that then, but I want to just go through that briefly and show you guys that they did go through this in the proper way. And essentially what occurred here was you could see on the case summary here that they went through down here at the bottom. Order issued. The order was issued today. They sent it to the court yesterday. Motion filed yesterday. And this was a verified motion for termination of designation of acting executive. Comes now Jeffrey Green, president of the Common Council of the City of Muncie, Indiana, by Council Benjamin Freeman, and pursuant to Indiana Code 36458C, files this verified motion for termination of designation of acting executive, and in support thereof states as follows. The undersigned is duly elected and acting president of the Common Council of the City of Muncie, Indiana. Dan Ridenour is the duly elected mayor of the City of Muncie, Indiana. The mayor recently underwent surgery that required additional recovery time to be fully prepared for resuming the full performance of the duties of the office. On June 11th, 2026, this court, Circuit Court 1, issued an order determining temporary inability to enable the mayor additional post-surgery recovery time prior to resuming the powers and duties of the office. The mayor's temporary inability was physical in nature and was not the result of any mental incapacity. The undersigned has confirmed that the mayor's physical ability has strengthened and he will be able to physically resume the powers and duties of the office as of Wednesday, July 15th, 2026. The mayor has voluntarily acknowledged that the temporary physical inability to discharge the powers and duties of the office has ceased, and he has executed an affidavit, which we will see that here in a moment, confirming the same, which is attached here to Exhibit A. The mayor anticipates returning to full discharge of the powers and duties of the office on the morning of Wednesday, July 15th. Then it just reads from the code there. Says the power shall be given back to the executive if and when blah, blah, blah. All right, going on. The undersigned respectfully requests that the court makes the determination contemplated by Indiana Code 5458C. The court issues a decision that no inability exists and the mayor shall resume the powers and duties of the office. This request is being made to ensure continuity of municipal government, and basically then it was signed off by Jeff Green and the council, not the council attorney, rather the MRC attorney, I don't understand why they're not having the council attorney do this or the city attorney. It's very strange. But again, it's because Ben is tight with George-Jeff. And that's what that is. So this is Ridenour's affidavit. It's just basically, where he comes from, who he is, what the deal is. I'm fully able to resume my performance of all powers and duties of the office commencing on Wednesday, July 15th. And basically, he did that. It was notarized. There's that. And then here was the old document. I did include that in there. I included all of that so people could take a look at that. That was signed. Here's the actual law that I put out so people could see that as well. And then here was the order that was signed. Everything was signed off. There's the verified statement that started this process. There's the affidavit that started this process back in June. And then here was the document, the temporary designation of acting mayor pursuant to Indiana code that was actually signed off on May 29th and said that it went into effect on June 1st. That's there, along with the acceptance of designation of acting mayor. So they went through the proper channels with all of that documentation because they knew that people would be looking. The only thing they didn't do is they didn't do the right procedural process with everything. They didn't go through everything that they needed to, the correct procedure in putting Howe in his initial placement as the director of the Redevelopment Commission, and that's the problem. So that's that, and it's basically it's very easy, par for the course stuff. I mean, there's no question to that. Now, my question is, why? Was this the time? Was it not the time? I guess rather than worrying about that, the thing that we need to talk about is, what's going on. Ridenour is saying he's not going to be looking back. He's only looking forward. And I don't know that he's going to be able to do that because there are quite a bit of fires that he's going to need to put out that are there because of things that happened in the last 43 days. Let's just start. Okay. Yeah, right. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, all that stuff. We're just starting all over. No, see, that's my thought, that this is a way to try and say, look, there's no need for an investigation into Howe and the contracts and all of that because he's no longer the acting mayor. He's no longer, doing any of that. Well, first and foremost, starting tomorrow, matter of fact, tonight when we get off the show, I'm going to send an email for Ridenour straight away. I'm going to copy the council on it. I'm probably going to copy Jeff Howe on it. I'll probably copy Shireen on it and Amber on it. I'll copy the whole kit and caboodle. All right. And I want to know, as of tomorrow morning when Ridenour walks through the doors and he's Mayor Ridenour, what is Jeff Howe's title? Does he go back to just part-time, retired, contract employee, non-contract, contract employee, Jeff Howe as the director of the MRC? Is that his title? Or is he director of the MRC and deputy mayor? And no matter if he's deputy mayor and MRC director, what's he doing with Tui Pool? Because that's still supposed to be in effect until September. So I think first and foremost, we need to get an understanding from Ridenour, and I need to send an email. Dan Ridenour, Jeff Howe, asking what Jeff Howe's title and responsibilities will be moving forward. Okay, that's the first thing that we need to understand. Yeah, look back to February 15th, 2024. So that's the very first thing that we need to look at. Then, and I need to send an email to the council letting them know that I fully expect them to continue forward with the resolution to investigate the procedural issues, procedural errors, in my opinion, with Howell's contract. Because as I've told the council from day one, they crossed their T's and dotted their I's when it come to making him acting mayor and deputy mayor. They did that by the book. Everything was gold. So I didn't have any issue with him acting as acting mayor or deputy mayor. My issue is what he was from day one, February 15th, 2024, because whatever weirdness they did back on the 1st of this month, on Wednesday, July 1st, they did not vote on that contract. Now, I fully expect that they might do that tomorrow. I'm going to be there in attendance, and I fully expect them to be voting on that initial contract tomorrow. Matter of fact, I'll be shocked if they don't. But even if they do that, and even with what they did on the 1st, there's still an issue because they didn't do anything from May 21st to July 1st. So you've got that 5-week window. And then they didn't do anything from February 15th, 2024 to now. And so we've got $66,000 that have been paid out. I know I sure could have used it. Is that what you were going to say? Yeah. Isn't that amazing? Like I could have used Kate's like having a laughing fit down there. She must have thought that right when she posted that. But yeah, I'm like, they could send that to us. I would gladly give Howell's $66,000 to Kate for all of her hard work. That would be fantastic. I would rather Kate have it than Jeff Howe. I mean, what the hell are you talking about? I would be fine with that. So I need the council to know that the investigation has to continue, okay? Because they did Ordinance 826 investigation into the controller's office after the fact with the park stuff. They that's not still ongoing. So I just want to make sure that just because Ridenour is coming back, that Howe investigation, it can't end. It should not end. It needs to continue on. So I'm letting you guys know, if any of you out there talk to the Muncie City Councilors, I'm giving you guys a checklist. Tell them that you think that investigation needs to continue. You expect them to support that, and you want it to continue. Number 2, controllers, the Ordinance 826. Okay? Ordinance 826. What's going on with that? The counselors handed over, well, I shouldn't say the counselors. I guess I'll say I'm aware that Counselor Nora Powell handed over her questions to the controller Friday morning, okay, the morning of the deadline. I don't know if any of the other 8 counselors handed anything over to him or not. No clue. Maybe I'll email them and see if I get any responses back. That's laughable. Well, I mean, Nora's already told me, so I wouldn't email Nora again. I'd email the rest of them. But I'm interested. I'm sure Sarah sent a question or two. I'm sure, man, I bet that's it. I bet Roe didn't send anything. I bet Green didn't send anything. I bet Basham didn't send anything. You know.
We know Dishman didn't.
I was going to say, I get the feeling that Dishman and Green probably didn't. But we need to be getting on that. And then, you know, the answers should be coming the 10th. So the answers should be coming on the 24th. And then the public hearing will need to happen sometime within those next 2 weeks. So Ridenour probably wants to see what's going on with that, I'm sure. But then we talked a little bit about the boards and commissions. We talked about that, of course, when he brought that up. I think it's funny that he said that it was, you know, felt political to him. That's a good question, Hal. That's a good. Scaife. Will Hal keep his extra $1,000? Of course, that's for the TUI situation, and you know, the way I read that contract, he can make even more than 1,000, because that's right. Is that not right, Kate? He can make more than that if he wanted. So far, he's not. But yeah, I would be interested to know, you know, is that happening? He only uses the Telegraph. I wish the counselors would ask some of these questions, you know, but sometimes it seems like they feel like this isn't their place or their responsibility. And I'm just like, well, can you guys tell me what it is that you are supposed to be doing? You know, I would like to know what it is that you are actually doing. But the counselors are going to have to really button this up, and we as a community are going to have to come out and show strength behind this, that we want this. We're going to need to get people there that can stand up and speak, because if not, they are going to kill Ordinance 1426, the boards and commissions ordinance. And that should not happen. This needs to be brought up. This needs to be handled. And we've got to give the counselor support on this. That's the only other way I can say it. That's right, Kate. I just saw that. That's funny. So that's that. The fire department. Listen, that deal with Ordinance 926 and Resolution 1026 and 1126. I know it sounds like they go together, but they do all go together, but it's not Ordinance 9, Ordinance 10, Ordinance 11. It's Ordinance 926 and then Resolution 1026 and Resolution 1126. So there's one ordinance, two resolutions. They just happen to be in an order like that. But I guarantee you Dan is mad that this is still just floating out here, that this has not been handled, that it's not been voted on. The fact that it's going to committee yet again, I guess, if Dishman ever sets the meeting. need to be emailing and contacting them and getting them to set the meeting. Set meeting for Public Services Committee. Jerry Dishman. Okay. I'll be doing that. But I guarantee you, Dan is like, what's happening here? We need to get this on the ball. He's probably not happy about what's happened there. And the fact that he's going to have to do this, then yeah, that's right, Kate. I mean, his people should have been there to answer questions, but they weren't. And so now they've got to deal with that. And so it's going to be interesting to see how he deals with that. All right, we're going to take a break really quick, ladies and gentlemen. We have a lot more to get into. You guys sit tight. We'll be back in just a few moments, and we're going to talk about all these other things. And then we're getting ready to get into the big topic, which is this veto. And I'm all kinds of pissed off about this veto. So now is the time to share this out there to Muncie people, specifically the people in that district, in that neighborhood, because they're needing to hear this. You guys sit tight. We'll be right back. This is the Political Spotlight. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we've got one more thing that I want to talk about real quick before we get into the veto, and that is budget time. We've not even talked about this. It's budget time. The budget needs to be being worked on. We heard in the July meeting that Nora asked Dale Basham, who is apparently the finance chair. God, that's laughable. I just can't even believe it. But she asked him if he could notify them about when the budget workshop was going to be held. I don't know that he will. He probably won't. It's like pulling teeth for these people to do anything like that. I don't understand it. But Ridenour is going to be behind the ball in that. If you all remember, Ridenour said, again, it's stupid to say this because he said a lot of things. Basically, every single thing that he said, he went backwards on. He basically didn't live up to any of his promises, which is just absolutely gross. I hate it. But Ridenour said when he was running for office that he wanted to work with the council, and he wanted to get them the budget in July of each year. He said that he would get them the budget and let them work on it, and he wanted to help them, work with them to get what they wanted, and really to help, do the right thing. It's so comical to me thinking about that, because he has not once, not one time has he ever had the budget to the council in July. Not in the first year in 2020, not in 2021, not in 2022, not in 2023, not in 2024. I think the earliest time he had it to them was the year 2023. And I think that's when, because he was running for re-election, I think he had it to them pretty early, but it still was pretty far out. And keep in mind, the budget has to be passed before, it's got to be passed in October. It's got to be passed before, I think like the 31st of October. or depending on when the Monday is. But the council, this is going to be the first time since 2020 when I think it's going to go back to the old way. So for all of you guys that have been watching this for a long time, you remember back in the 2000s, back in the 90s, in 2015, 16, 17, 18, 19, up until Ridenour, the Finance Committee was always a 3-person committee, and they always ran the budget meetings. And then they took their recommendation to the full council. And in the 2019 election, it's something that I talked to all of the candidates that were running for council about. And I said, you have got to, if you are elected to the council, you have got to change this. The entire council needs to work on the budget. You are all the fiscal body made up by all of you. No one of you is, but all 9 of you are. And the 3 of you working on this alone, that's not it. All 9 of you need to work on this. And in 2020, it was backwards because the president of the council was Brad Polk. And Brad Polk, well, he's a bitch. And so he didn't do the right thing. He kept the Finance Committee a 3-person board. And I think the Finance Committee that year was Polk, Ivy, I don't know who the other one was. It was definitely Polk and Ivy. I forget who the third one was. But I griped and griped and griped and griped. And then when he left, and a bunch of them left, and new people came in, and then when Jeff Robinson became the council president in 2021, they made the rule that all 9 of them would be the finance chair. And when the new election occurred in 2023, I gave the pressure to the incoming people, all 9 of you need to remain. Well, they did something different. They went back and they actually made a finance committee. Instead of just saying, we're not seating the finance committee, all 9 of us will do it, they actually seated 3 people to the finance committee. And then, because you could just say all 9 of us are on the committee, and then name a committee chair and just go at that. But they didn't. They actually made the 3-person committee, but they kept it with all 9 of them. But I'm afraid that this is the first year that we could see them going back, or maybe not even doing it. They could simply just take the budget that the mayor gives them, and Jeff could say, okay, this is going to be a real interesting year. I'm letting you guys know. If you're interested in watching some very weird government go down in the next couple of months, I could almost bet that there's a possibility that they go back to the old ways, or we don't even see the budget process like we've been used to. And if that's the case, I'll definitely be bitching, and we will need to raise holy hell, because that would be absolutely unbelievable if that is in fact the case, because that would be nuts. Give me 1 second here. I'm looking for something specifically. Do I have They're scared of Nora being on the finance committee. Yeah. And I will tell you what happened. So I don't know if it was last year or the year before. Nora is pretty good with the stuff. Nora's sharp with it. There were some errors that were made. She made some errors, and they used that to throw up in her face. And I hated when that happened, because then they got to say, well, oh, look, she's making all these errors. I don't think, first of all, she would make those errors again. I think that it was a weird deal. I don't think that would happen again. Just to be clear. Okay. But I want to say that, she's probably the best suited person to handle that. I don't know that the rest of them come close. That was Dan. Yeah, that was Dan's gotcha moment. And hey, people make mistakes. It's okay. I get it. It's not a big deal. Dan makes mistakes, and as long as you're willing to admit that, you can work through it. And she, to her credit, she admitted she, made a couple mistakes, and they fixed it. But yeah, it is what it is. Right here, I want to show you. Look who that handsome devil is. Listen to this, folks. Right here it is. I've been looking at this. I'm going to play this here. This was then Councilman Dan Ridenour running to be mayor. Listen to that guy's on voice. September 28th, 2019. He had said this multiple times during the election.
What I will do is I will present a budget to the city council in July of my vision of what I want to do. And then I want to work with the council to help make sure that fits what they're wanting to do, and make sure it's a sound budget that can be sustained long-term. What I will do is I will present a budget to the city council in July. What I will do is I will present a budget to the city council in July of my vision.
He's never once done that. Still hasn't done it. Look, what year was this? What year is this? Well, he said it in September 28th of 2019. I published this on December of 2023. Jeff Robinson said, this year I asked for the budget beginning in late July. We all received it a few days before it was filed with the clerk. There wasn't anything we could do at that point. And that was in October he was talking about. So, yeah, right. Hey, it's the same lies are still being told. That's what's absolutely crazy with all of this. It's nothing new. There's absolutely nothing new to what's going on here. Absolutely insane. So, be looking for the budget, because that's going to be a big deal, a really big deal. All right. This just absolutely blew my mind. I thought that we would have to fight for the boards and commissions ordinance. I thought that we would have to fight over resolution ordinance 826, the investigation into the controller, that deal. I thought that we would probably have to fight for the resolution to investigate the anomalies with Howe's contract. I thought that this McKinley Overlay District deal, I thought it was a done deal. I didn't even think this in my mind. I didn't have, I just didn't think that this was a deal. I thought it was done. I honestly thought that we were done with this. I I was so amazed. Listen to me on this. The public got up. I talked so good about this the other night. The public got up and put on an overwhelmingly great display of how you go and you communicate with the council. They brought documentation, they brought facts, they brought opinions, they brought feelings, but they packaged it in the proper way, and they were asked questions. The council asked questions and was like, hey, why should we do this? Why should we suspend the rules? How's this going to affect the school? How's everything, and everybody laid it out. Everybody laid it out smoothly. Absolutely. That's exactly right. We laid everything out perfectly. And the council voted. Brandon was gone. So it was 8-0. And I was scared because honestly, I thought that might not get introduced because it'll go up 4-4. I could see the Republicans kill it, but I think that they saw the people there and they just couldn't do it. And so they introduced it 8-0. It was a unanimous vote. Brandon was gone. It was a unanimous vote. Then we asked them to suspend the rules. And I was like, that's another stretch. They only needed one council member to say no. You know how easy it could have been for Dale Basham to say, nope, I just don't think we should suspend the rules. Oh, I've started giving him a Paul Lynde voice, if you noticed. Since Mike White's dead, he used to be my Paul Lynde character. Oh, God. I've started giving Dale Basham the Paul Lynde voice. Anyways, that tickled me. He could have said no. Or Green could have said no. Or Dishman could have been like, what? Am I awake? What? No? Huh? What? No? And that could have been that. It could have been very easy. Oh, thank you, Kate. I just now saw that. I appreciate that. That goes to show you that Dan has been talking with Howe because there's no way that Howe vetoed this. No, absolutely. Absolutely. That's exactly right, Wayne. 1,000%. So they then voted a third time. They voted to suspend the rules 8-0. And I was like, kick ass. This is done. They voted 8-3 to carry it through. I got up and I thanked them. Boy, I'll never do that again. I got up and I thanked them for doing the right thing and doing it right and doing it good. Doing it like we knew they could. And then I want to show you guys this. Okay, I'm going to put this up here on the screen. Let me ask you a question. Anybody out there? Has anybody out there heard that this is big news? I've not seen this in the Star Press. I've not heard this. I've not heard this anywhere. Did anybody know that this happened? I think that this is like breaking news. And it's not new. I want to know if the council knew. Yeah, see, I'm not seeing anything about it. I'm not seeing anything about it in the Star Press. I'm not seeing anything about this on WLBC. I'm not seeing anything about this on Facebook. I'd been calling Roe, but I hadn't got through. So I just text Roe because Roe is the counselor who sponsoring counselor. So I text Roe to find out if Roe's even known about this. Because I'm going to tell you, the source that brought this to me said they just found out about it today. This is, in my opinion, breaking news. So I'm going to put this up here so you guys can see this. Okay. This is pertaining to Ordinance 1326, which is an ordinance establishing the McKinley Neighborhood Overlay District. Okay. And this was signed on July 9th. Now, July 9th was last Thursday. So the council meeting was on Monday the 6th. Okay. Then we had Tuesday the 7th, Wednesday the 8th, and on Thursday the 9th, this was vetoed. Okay. July 9th, Muncie City Council veto of ordinance establishing McKinley Neighborhood Overlay District. Dear council members, pursuant to my authority as acting mayor of the city of Muncie, I hereby veto the ordinance establishing the McKinley Neighborhood Overlay District, which was adopted on first reading following suspension of the council's rules. At the time of the council's consideration, I expressed concern to some members regarding both the substance of the proposed overlay and the expedited process by which it was advanced. Now, I want to say right here that this is the biggest load of horse shit. I want to break this down line by line. He says, at the time of the council's consideration, well, the council only considered this one night on Monday, July 6th. They considered it, they introduced it, they suspended the rules, and they passed it. He says, at the time of the council's consideration, I expressed concern to some members. How did he do that? He didn't get up and speak. He wasn't there. Was he watching from home? Was he watching from upstairs? Was he texting them? So my email to him is, can I ask you a favor? Can you write this down as I say, just like jot a note down for my email so I don't have to take the time to do it? So I need to email him, and I will email him tomorrow asking him, when did he express these concerns to the council members? Because if he sent them text messages or emails that they were reading on the dais, I want them. I'm going to request them. Timing issues, says he telegraphed Jerry. Yes. He definitely didn't leave a comment on YouTube. So that's a big question. I want to know, did he text Jeff Green? Is that why Jeff Green asked why they wanted to suspend the rules? Very good question. Very good question, Wayne. We will find that out, because any of those text messages or any emails that he may have sent, those are public record, and I hope he knows that. So if you're listening to this out there, Jeff, or anybody up in Jeff's little circle, you might tell him not to delete anything, and if he did, he's in big trouble. Okay? He said he expressed concern to some members regarding the substance of the proposed overlay and the expedited process by which it was advanced. Now, that is really a problem. I've really got a problem with that, because they didn't know until that night that we were asking them to suspend the rules. So there wasn't an expedited process by which it was advanced. It wasn't expedited until that night when myself and one other person asked them to suspend the rules. Okay. So I'm very confused by what he's talking about here because his ass wasn't at the meeting and he didn't get up to the podium to speak. And I need to know what he's talking about. So moving on, he says, following adoption of the ordinance, I directed city staff with responsibility for administering the city's zoning, engineering, building, and public infrastructure regulations. All right. I want to know who he tasked. Who was tasked? Who was it that he had to do this? Okay, so following the adoption of the ordinance, I directed city staff, who are those staff, with responsibility for administering city zoning, engineering, building, and public infrastructure regulations to review the ordinance for consistency with existing law. That review identified multiple provisions that conflict with existing city ordinances, create uncertainty regarding the administration of municipal authority, and appear inconsistent with recently enacted provisions of Indiana law. Now, first and foremost, and maybe this is something that he doesn't understand, but anytime you pass an ordinance that conflicts with an earlier ordinance, the new ordinance now trumps that old ordinance. Now, you cannot pass ordinances that counter state law, so that would have to be looked at or dealt with. I don't know what he's talking about, but I would like to ask him if you can just jot this note. I'm going to ask him specifically what city ordinances and what state laws did his staff give him that this was affecting or running inconsistent with. Okay. He goes on. Because the executive branch is responsible for administering and enforcing these regulations, I cannot approve an ordinance that creates substantial legal uncertainty regarding its implementation. I want to know what in the hell he is talking about. I mean, obviously there's an issue if it's state law, okay? If it's city ordinances, that's crazy to me. So, moving on. First, several provisions within the proposed overlay differ materially from standards established in the City Design Manual adopted in 2024. While the council may amend city policy through ordinance, the proposed overlay does not reconcile these differences or specify which standards control the event in the event of conflict. As drafted, city staff responsible for the administration would be required to apply two inconsistent regulatory frameworks without legislative direction. Okay, well, instead of vetoing this, maybe you just contact them and say, hey, you need to provide some better legislative direction. Maybe get with them and talk this through. Okay?
Now, I have found the design manual
From 2024?
from 2024.
Okay.
And this is approved by the city engineer. This is not approved by the council. This is not law.
Okay, so I've got a real problem with that because the city engineer, so when you're saying city engineer, you mean Adam Leach?
Yes.
Well, he's a contract employee, so nothing he says or does would trump legislative
Action
authority
by the council.
By the council. That's stupid.
And I don't know that this was approved by the council. I don't think it was because it's just a plan. But it was approved by the Board of Works and the Sanitary District. They do not, again, have legislative authority in the city of Muncie.
Yep.
So if the council wants to write an ordinance that runs contrary to the design plan, they are perfectly within their rights to do so because they are the legislative body. So that's point one, poof.
Yeah, so we just killed point one right there. And I mean, how long have you been looking that up? 20, 30 minutes?
I've been sitting here actually on the program now for most of this. So it took me about 10 minutes to look it up.
Yeah, okay. And so that took 10 minutes to completely destroy point one.
Yeah.
So that's why Kate's amazing.
It doesn't matter whether it's contrary to the design plan. Design manuals, not law. Sucks to be you. I got number 2 covered for you too, bud.
Okay, I can't wait to see it because that's what you said. So that's why Kate's amazing. So it says, second, the ordinance introduced sustainability standards that are inconsistent with recent changes in Indiana law. Okay, inconsistent. That doesn't necessarily mean bad or wrong. We just need some legal understanding. Okay. The ordinance requires new development to incorporate mandatory sustainability measures since the preparation of the overlay and the Indiana General Assembly enacted Indiana Code 36-1-313, which limits the authority of political subdivisions to require particular building components or design features based upon their energy saving or energy producing qualities. As drafted, portions of the overlay appear inconsistent with those statutory limitations and expose the city to avoidable legal challenges.
Well, that one, all you have to do is open up the ordinance itself.
Okay.
Because the ordinance itself does have a section in there talking about sustainability standards. And I will get that and so I can show it to you.
Okay.
You're gonna love this.
I can put it up there.
Oh, if that you could, that'd be great because I'm off screen with it now. So it says sustainability standards, and we only have to read like the very first paragraph of this.
Amazing.
Intent and applicability. Intent of this section is to promote sustainable development practices that support stormwater management, environmental quality, and neighborhood livability. Each new development project is required to employ at least one of the following sustainable methods for the treatment of stormwater. Does that have anything to do with energy saving?
I didn't think so.
No, they're talking about stormwater. So point 2, poof.
Okay. Now, so down there it says like green roofs would be constructed with planting material to enable stormwater planters,
bioswales, whatever the hell that is, drainage swales that include grass or native plants and vegetation by filtering the water. Stormwater planters, porous paving can include the use of pervious concrete and or pavers designed to allow water to infiltrate rather than collect and run off. Again, this is dealing with the drainage. So this actually solves one that's a little further down. And we're not talking about paving the frickin' parking lot.
Yeah, right. Okay, well,
Solar and roofing, reflective roofing material to decrease solar gain. So this is about rainwater. This is not anything to do with energy, which is what the state law says. The state law, in fact, is called local units prohibited from requiring or prohibiting particular component design or type of material used in building construction based on energy saving or producing qualities, exemption for construction or design of buildings owned or used by unit. It's right there in the title of the stupid thing. It's about energy saving. So that is bullshit.
I don't understand these people.
He is desperate. He is hoping desperately that none of the counselors look any of this up.
Yeah, right. That's why
he's got so many different reasons why it's being why this is bad. This is bad. He's
See you,
trying
Alva.
to
Good night.
scare them into complying and not overriding the veto.
Yeah.
Good
Yeah.
night, Alva.
Yeah. That's absolutely gross. Absolutely gross. Well, okay. So moving on. So we busted 1 and 2.
Mm-hmm.
Who sits on the Water Quality Board? I don't even know what that is.
I think that would be called the Muncie Sanitary District.
If you're talking about the Muncie Sanitary District, it's those people that sit on there. Adam does. Aaron Clark does.
Brand used to.
Tim Overton does now.
Oh, fun.
Yeah. And a couple of others.
There's number 3.
What? Third. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Third, the overlay permits the use of porous pavement, which is not currently allowed under city standards. Now, I don't know what city standards are. Does he mean city law? Does he mean ordinances? Because, we'll have to look at what those ordinances are. Yeah.
But if they're writing a new ordinance, the new ordinance overrides the old, and this is specific to this neighborhood.
Yeah, we're not talking about like paving streets, specifically like McGalliard, from point A to point B, from your house to the hospital. We're talking about this neighborhood. We'll just have to look. We'll have to look.
For drainage, and specifically for drainage, and then it goes on.
Additionally, the review and approval of drainage features remain by code under the jurisdiction of the city engineer.
Well, again, this ordinance lays out a very specific process that what needs to be presented as the design plan, and it does include the drainage, which would then be approved by the city engineer, whether it uses porous pavement or not.
Well,
they're not changing the way things are done or the process by which things are approved. They are saying for this neighborhood, they can use the porous pavement for the drainage. And it supersedes any ordinance they've written before.
Yeah. God.
Again, nitpicking and looking for reasons to scare them into complying and getting rid of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Jurisdiction of the city engineer. Responsibility for review and approval of drainage infrastructure is presently assigned by existing ordinance and administrative practice to the city engineer. So existing ordinance, which can change.
But this doesn't change it going to the city engineer saying they turn in a drawing and it's good. Nobody has to look at it. They haven't changed that.
Yeah.
So the engineer still has to approve it, and he says, we don't like this porous material being used here. Come up with something different.
Sure.
Then that's the way it'd be.
Yeah.
So again, moot.
The overlay creates overlapping review authority without clearly preserving those existing responsibilities, creating unnecessary uncertainty in the permitting process.
Not that I could find.
I don't understand why. I mean, this is all stuff that could be easily worked out.
Mm-hmm.
Before we go on to 4, I want to say the Bureau of Water Quality. The Bureau of Water Quality was created in 1972, and it's one of the oldest local water pollution testing and enforcement agencies of the United States. 12 full-time professional staff members are dedicated to improving the water quality of the White River for citizens of Muncie and East Central Indiana. The Bureau consists of 4 sections: administration, biology, laboratory, and surveillance. These 4 sections implement cooperative industrial pre-treatment programs, as well as chemical and microbial analysis of treatment facilities and stream water. They also assess aquatic communities, and in doing so, continue to surpass the minimum legal requirements of the National Pollution Discharge Elimination System. The Bureau of Water Qualities invites you to bring your family and friends for a stroll along the White River. fill a picnic basket, grab a fishing pole, bring your binoculars. There's an abundant wildlife to observe, or put on your jogging shoes and enjoy the natural resources that our community is so fortunate to have. Chuck Jones, director. So it doesn't say who's on that board, who those 12 people are, but that's that. It does connect them in then with the Muncie Sanitary District, but that's what I looked up there for you, Stumblefoot. We aim to please here. All right, moving on. Fourth, the overlay contains provisions regulating underground utility service, overhead electrical facilities, and communications infrastructure. The overlay contains provisions regulating underground utility service, overhead electrical facilities, and communications infrastructure.
Okay, so you need to add a few words to the ordinance, unless otherwise, prescribed by state law.
I think that would be easily.
That's a quick fix.
Yeah, that's an easy way to fix that.
That's it. That's a quick fix. No biggie. Moving along.
Yeah.
To the next point of bullshit. There's 4 out of 5 thrown out the window. Kiss my hand.
Right. Many of these matters are governed by state law, utility regulation, or existing municipal ordinance. Thank you for telling us. The overlay does not adequately distinguish between permissible land use regulation and matters reserved to utility providers or other governmental authority.
Again, quick fix. Add a little bit of language that says unless otherwise assigned to this person. Reserved to utility provider or government authority. Whatever.
I don't really understand. Yeah, I mean that's not a thing.
I didn't have time tonight to go through the ordinance, find every little thing, look up the code, and see what matched and what was bullshit.
No, yeah, that's fine. No, that's fine. That's
We're
perfectly
doing
fine.
it on the fly, baby.
Yeah, because we just learned this tonight. This is a big deal. I've still not heard anything back from Roe. I don't know if Roe even knows about this. I don't know if any of the council members know about this. This is shocking to me. Timing issues, we played it. I'm still digging into it. Nothing yet, but there will be. So we're still working on it. It's definitely crazy.
I just started them so you can come back to them later in case you didn't see them. Sorry.
No, yeah, that's fine. I definitely wanted to let them know that. Finally, the ordinance contains provisions governing public streets, curb cuts, sidewalks, rights of way, the roadway configuration. These matters are presently administered through the Board of Public Works and other executive officials pursuant to Indiana law and existing city ordinances.
Okay, we can kill that with one word.
Okay.
The verb in that sentence. Are administered. Does it say legislated?
Yeah, nope.
It does not. I don't care who's in charge of running it.
Yeah, run it all you want.
Yeah, administer all you want.
Some
you don't
might
get
say,
to write the code that dictates what it's going to be.
It. Yeah, right. Some might say the Board of Works does very effing little. They do so very little. They're not running or administering anything. They are there to rubber stamp the mayor's yes, just like the MRC. Now that takes me all the way back to Ordinance 1426 when I say it's because Ridenour has his flunkies on these boards. A lot of them. Okay. Mm-hmm. Moving on here. You're right, Stumblefoot. Roe should be pissed about this. And the other counselors should be. And the other... and
the neighborhood people.
And the neighborhood. I am, and I don't even live there. The overlay neither amends nor reconciles those existing grants of authority. I mean, that's stupid.
The Board of Works doesn't have authority.
Yeah. Right.
They're the pencil pushers.
People need to stay in their lane. Beyond the individual conflicts identified above,
You're welcome, sir.
Thank you very much, Kate. Thank you very much. Beyond the individual conflicts identified above, the ordinance creates a broader administrative concern by establishing review authority for the McKinley Neighborhood Review Committee without clearly defining its relationship to the Metropolitan Plan Commission, Administrative Zoning Officer, Building Commissioner, City Engineer, and the Board of Public Works. The result is unnecessary uncertainty regarding which governmental body possesses the final decision-making authority over multiple aspects of the development review. These are easily fixed problems that can easily be fixed without killing this and going forward, okay? My decision is not based upon disagreement with the goal of the neighborhood revitalization. Yes, it is. 100%, absolutely, without a shadow of a doubt, that is what this is about. I would think that's right, Kate.
It's the review committee. So This is what we've come up with. You guys look at it, and then the committee looks at it and says, well, this is great except this.
Yeah.
And they send it back. They don't get to decide.
Yeah.
But they have input that grants the neighbors input on what is going on in their own neighborhood.
Yeah. Yeah.
It never said they had authority. And since it doesn't say they have authority, guess what? They don't.
Right. Isn't that amazing?
It's amazing if you stop and you think for more than 2 seconds. But if you're looking to find fault, then you're going to find every stupid little thing that you can. It doesn't tell you they have authority.
Yeah.
It just establishes it.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah.
It creates it so they have a say. And that's what they want.
Yeah, that's exactly right. It's exactly right. Beyond the individual conflicts identified above, the ordinance creates a broader administrative concern establishing a review authority in the McKinley Neighborhood Review Committee. The result is uncertainty regarding which governmental body possesses the final decision-making authority over multiple aspects of the developmental review. My decision is not based upon disagreement with the goal of the neighborhood revitalization. Rather, reflects my obligation to ensure that ordinances approved by the city are legally enforceable, internally consistent, and capable of uniform administration. The legal and administrative issues identified above should be addressed before this overlay is enacted. Nothing in this veto should be interpreted as opposition to the concept of a neighborhood overlay district. Overlay districts are a recognized planning tool under Indiana law. However, they must operate in harmony with existing municipal ordinances. He's getting way hung up on this. His problem with him and Dan Ridenour they are too used to people doing what they say and not understanding that they are nobodies. They are public servants who work for the public.
This one thing that I don't like doesn't line up with all the other ordinances, but this thing over here that I do like that doesn't line up with the ordinances, we're going to do it anyway.
Yes, right?
It's the I can't. The hypocrisy is astounding.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Clearly crazy. And that's clearly preserve statutory responsibilities assigned to other governmental bodies and remain consistent with the applicable state law. The current draft does not yet accomplish those objectives. I encourage the council to revisit this proposal through its regular process, incorporating the edits provided as an attachment to this letter. A more deliberate approach will better serve both the neighborhood and the city as a whole. I appreciate your attention to these matters and stand ready to work with the council to develop a legally sound and effective framework for the revitalization of the McKinley neighborhood. Jeffrey Howe. Now, what's interesting about this is we then see where he has these new things that he's put here. Okay. Now, I'm not going to go through all of this right now because this is what he thinks it should be. This is how he wants it to change. And I guarantee you, if we applied all of these, the developer that he has in mind that he wants to run and do the things that they've sold 12 properties for $1 each, I guarantee you that developer would still be able to go in and lay down whatever they want to lay down in there, not doing what the neighborhood wants. So what I want to do is I want to compare this to what it currently is. I want to talk to my sources. I want to talk to Roe. I want to talk to a few other people and find out what exactly should happen. Because I would say scrap what, and I'm not saying this right now, I'm just saying without looking at it, I would say scrap what Jeff Howe wants, because I'm not concerned with what Jeff wants. I would say make the ordinance that you have. Here's what I think should happen. I will be honest. I believe the council, so we're going to put this off to the side here real quick. And I want to go through with you guys what the procedure is. A bunch of you have asked what the procedure is. Wayne asked this. Other people have said, what going forward, what do we have? And I want to put this up here so you guys can see this. Okay. Indiana Code 364616 says approval or veto of ordinances, orders, resolutions. Within 10 days after an ordinance, order, resolution is presented to the city executive. So after every council meeting, all of the ordinances or resolutions that are signed off on, okay, all of them, always on a Monday night, they're signed off. The next day, they're presented to the mayor or the mayor's office by the clerk. And then he or whoever the mayor is, he, she, or whoever it is, they have 10 days after the ordinance is presented to either approve it by entering approval on the document, signing it, and sending the legislative body a message announcing the approval, or they can veto it by returning it to the legislative body with a message announcing the veto and stating the reasons for the veto. Okay, they can do one of those things. The city executive may also approve or veto individual items of an ordinance appropriating money or levying a tax. Okay. The executive can also not do anything. They don't have to veto it. They don't have to sign off approving it. If the executive does not approve it or veto it, the ordinance, order, resolution within 10 days is considered vetoed. So in order to approve it, he has to approve it. Or he can veto it by one of two ways. He can just veto it straight up, or he can let it run out and veto. This is what's really big. A vetoed ordinance, order, or resolution is defeated unless the legislative body overrides the veto at its first regular or special meeting after the 10-day period by a 2/3 vote. So for those of you out there asking what's going to happen, I'll be honest. If I we're able to tell the council, this is what I want you to do. I want you to listen to what I want you to do. And I think this is how it needs to be handled. I would be working between now and the next meeting on Monday, August 3rd, to figure out how ordinance 1326 that we passed, how we can shore it up and make it a decent ordinance. I would then go into the meeting on the 3rd of August. And I think all of the citizens need to be there, the neighbors, the stakeholders, the property owners. I'll be there, and we need to speak in favor of this. And then that council needs to vote 9-0 or 8-1 or whoever's there, 9-all, a unanimous vote to override the veto. And then they can make an amendment to shore up any of the language that needs to be shored up. And I think that is what needs to happen. Now, I would absolutely 100% tell the council members that they need to attend the Redevelopment Commission meeting this coming Thursday, not tomorrow, but the next day at 9 a.m. in the morning. They need to attend. They need to go there and listen and see what's going on. I would highly recommend the neighborhood officials go, the stakeholders, everybody involved go on Thursday. I will be there, God willing. And I think we need to send a very clear message. I don't think that they just roll over and do what Jeff wants, because that's, I think, a problem. I think that's not in favor of what the public wants. And I have an issue with that. I have a serious issue with that. So I think that this can be dealt with. I think that the council needs to deal with this. And here's the deal, in my opinion. He vetoed this on the 9th. Ridenour is coming back tomorrow. It's still within the 10-day. Why didn't he just leave this for Ridenour to do? Would Ridenour have done this? You know, I've got a lot of questions for Howe that he needs to answer. Specifically, a couple of those up at the front, like, how was he talking to them? When was he talking to them? And if so, I want to see those communications. Was he doing it through his mind? Time will tell. There is a way to work on this. We need to do that. I'm going to be getting involved with this. You citizens need to. And maybe we can put out a form email if people want to email the council, want to call them. We'll let you guys know how to do that. I'm going to be working over this over the next couple of days. I have some record requests that I put in on some other things I'm going to be looking at. I'm going to have some questions that I want answered about this from the council, from Jeff, from Dan. I'm going to be at the Board of Works tomorrow. So we have a lot going on. If the Live-Learn gets to dictate what gets built within the neighborhood, the Thomas Avondale neighborhood should have a say about what gets built. Everybody should. Everybody should. You're absolutely right, Stumblefoot. You should. 1,000%. As such, so does industry. At South Central, the 812, Morningside, whatever, cheese box, or wherever you're talking. I agree, 1,000%. So we'll be looking into this. There is a way to overcome this. I just don't like the mad overreach. It's not illegal. They didn't do anything wrong. He's got this ability, but it's just, in my opinion, Ridenour wants to talk about political games. I think this is a great example of political games. That's because Stumblefoot, you guys, we've got to get more active and get people ready to. I mean, you've got a lot of good people down there that are willing to speak up and speak out, and they do. We just have to push it. I've been down there for several different meetings and things that's been put on down at the Avondale Church, and there's been things put on, and different people have been a part of things, fighting things and saying, yes, we want this. No, we don't want this. I'm all in favor of it. I think each little neighborhood association, that's what makes it great. That's just what Roe was just talking about that the other day at the meeting. Muncie is really unique because the neighborhood associations still play such a valuable role in what goes on in the areas. And that's how it should be. The smallest form of government possible. Yeah, I tell you, I hear you, Stumblefoot. So, all right, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for us tonight. We brought you some big breaking news. I do want to tell you this. I don't know if Admiral's still here. I saw him say this earlier. I don't know if he is. If he's not, I will message him. But for anybody else who saw that, I think that's just a rumor. I have not heard anything about that. And matter of fact, I was talking to a pretty high police official earlier in the day, and I think that would have been something would have came up if that was going on. I will also reach out to prosecuting attorney Eric Hoffman to find out if he's aware of anything, but I will let you know. I don't think that's true. I don't know where you saw or where you heard that at, but I've not seen or heard it, and that doesn't mean anything. I know I was talking to a pretty high-ranking law enforcement official, and I didn't hear anything about that, specifically from MPD. So, to my knowledge, that's not going on. So, all right, you guys, take care. God bless each and every one of you. Hey, before you leave, please consider smashing that like button if you haven't already. Share. We want to get this message out to the people of Muncie. It needs to be heard. We want to grow these numbers and get people in the neighborhoods listening, get more people here specifically from the local level. One of these days, probably one day somewhere in the future, we're going to have to probably start talking about more national shit. But while we're doing the local stuff, man, we really want to have as big an impact as possible. So that's what we do. And I tell them that pretty frequently. Yeah, I'm not in favor of flock. Speaking of flock, the Fort Wayne City Council tonight was voting on whether they were going to approve flock or not. And I have not seen, can you share that to me? Can you share that if you have access to that? Can you share that to me in one of the groups, Admiral? I'd be interested in taking a look at that. But I'll have to get off and see what's going on with the Fort Wayne council vote, because that seems pretty big. It seems like they almost were going to tell them no, but we'll see what happens in the end. All right, you guys, we'll be back tomorrow. God willing, you guys take care and have a great evening and a great tomorrow. We will be at the Board of Works tomorrow, so I'm sure we'll have some fun things to talk about tomorrow evening. Take care and goodbye.